All right, gather around, everyone. We're going to listen to Discount Kirsche, who is having an existential puzzle as she notices a leftist in their natural habitat. And then we're going to do our best to educate the Discount Kirsche into the behaviors and psychology that the leftist is having.
For too fucking long, fucking weirdo Nazi gooning twats have been starting to forge a place in VTuber communities. Fuck them all. They deserve to be called out for their dogshit beliefs. To do so should be commonplace. Sad to see harassment doing so causes. I stand with Anna Valens. Who's your Oshi? I'm not terminally online, so I don't know what that means, Lamau. Then why do you care about a community you're not in? Absolute cinema.
Right. Why does this happen? Because we've noticed it happening since Gamergate, since 2014. This common trope where you have a person coming in, criticizing a community that they don't want to be part of, just trying to set rules and boundaries as if they want the entirety of the human race to subject themselves to their ideology. Why is it happening? And in order to understand that, you need to understand how the internet used to be before 2014. Before that, you had various fandoms, various little islands on the internet that weren't centralized, and they usually gravitated towards a particular theme. Let's take anime, for instance. Anime itself wasn't a community. Even that was spread amongst different little islands. And every little island was dedicated to a subject. For example, you could have the Dragon Ball Island. So you'd go on the internet and there was a forum that was dedicated specifically to Dragon Ball and only Dragon Ball. People didn't go there to talk about immigration. People didn't go there to talk about economics. People just went there in order to talk about Dragon Ball, and maybe you also had a subsection that allowed discussion of other anime, but that was pretty much it. And so what were the people doing on that forum? Well, they were creating. They were creating fan fiction. They were creating intellectual conversations about who is stronger. Is it Gotenks? Is it Trunks? What would have happened if Piccolo managed to defeat Goku in the first season? They were creating art pieces. They were creating fan service. But basically what they were doing is that they were creating stuff about Dragon Ball. This was a self-sustaining community. You didn't need an enemy. You didn't need an other. The community by itself was capable of growing, was capable of developing without an external threat. And so when 2016 comes along and you have the woke ideology, they start co-opting, or even in some rare cases, creating their own little communities. But when you look at the woke ideology, what you notice is that while they do create somewhat, they do not create enough in order to maintain people interested. Their ideology is stale. Their entire behavior is rigid. They delve into moral absolutism, meaning that they do not allow for people to think outside the box. They do not have the free thinkers, the creative spirit. And so in order to maintain cohesion, in order to keep people interested in their groups, they require an other. They require a villain. Whether the villain is the fascist, the patriarch, the Nazi, the Gunner, it doesn't really matter. They require the existence of the other for their communities to survive. We're not talking about their communities thriving. We're talking about the very existence of their communities. Without an external enemy, their communities are boring, stale, and lifeless. The only time that their communities exist is when they have some drama, is when they have a common goal to destroy the other. For those of you that happen to know history will know that this is exactly what happened in the Soviet Union. This is what Stalin did. He would often create fake villains, fake forces, prosecute people for no reason to maintain internal cohesion. Even the feminist movement in the late 2018 created this concept of the Menonists. The Menonists were a fictional movement that existed before what they dubbed it as the incels or the MRAs. They needed a villain. They needed someone to justify their internal cohesion. And so when you see this person going around and attacking the Vtubing community for being part Nazis or Gooners or whatever, they're not really interested at changing the Vtubing community because they don't use it. They have absolutely no interest if the Vtubing community tomorrow reorganized itself. And to be honest, I don't think any type of reorganization or purging from the internal Vtube community would actually change anything so that for people like Enjoyer Ash to be satisfied. Because once you understand the real reason that individuals like Enjoyer Ash go after the VTube community is the moment that you understand that they actually need the Nazi. In a fictional universe where the Nazi ideology doesn't exist, they would have to create another boogeyman. Or if they weren't able to, their communities would just starve out. This is why definitions like Nazis, Gooners, fascists are extremely vague. It's so that they can be applied to anyone from outside their group in order to justify the group having a call to action. And that's their level of creativity. The gossip, the drama, the trying to destroy another person, to take away their livelihood. That is the things that their groups are creating. Because a group without creativity becomes stale, boring, dull, and no one wants to engage with it. And so if you ask yourself, how would woke ideologues, how would their forums look like in a world without Nazis and fascists? And you would ask, are they contributing anything to the world? Are they bringing something new to the table? The answer is no. And that's why it's important for other communities to understand the real reason on why they constantly go after you. Because on the surface, it sounds like they're concerned. It sounds like, okay, well, because they're fascists in the VTube community, maybe my child is going to become a Nazi. Like, I'm going to be such a bad parent that I'm just going to allow my kid free access to the internet, and my kid is going to be monkey see, monkey do, and the influence of others is going to dominate the influence that I'm capable of providing. Maybe that's what they're thinking, right? Like, you're thinking they're a concerned parent. But in reality, most of them don't even have kids. And so the question becomes, why are they so concerned with what people from other communities think? And the answer, as I mentioned in the video, is because they need that. They need the enemy. And throughout human history, there have been many ideologies that function the same, constantly needing an other. Like for them, the fascists, the Nazis, labels that are filled with shame, labels that when the average person hears, they are disgusted. Because on one hand, the person doing the accusation receive a standing ovation from within their own peers. Like, they are viewed as they're cleaning the dredges of society. For them, this is viewed as sanitation, even though they're not actually doing anything productive, even though their sanitation is just ruining other creative communities that want to be left alone. They're not providing any value whatsoever. The only thing they're providing is internal prestige. The accuser is now viewed as a saint, as a person that society cannot live without. And if the accuser ever manages to get someone canceled, like they were trying to get Kirsche canceled, or if they're getting a VTuber that plays Hogwarts Legacy to be banned, all of a sudden the accuser gets a lot of prestige among their peer. And so this is why they don't even have to understand the community. They don't have to live within the community. They don't need to know what an Oshi is, because that's not the point. The point is, can I find a person that's a good target, someone from outside the woke community, someone that has said anything that can be taken out of context in order to upset people. And then the other question is like, can I get their livelihood destroyed? And if you manage to do that, that's how you get prestige in the woke community, because you have created something of value. You created the drama, you created the story, you created the call to action. Meanwhile, in a Vtubing community, in order to get prestige, you have to be charismatic, you have to sing great karaoke, you have to have a good take, you have to be funny. You're creating a different thing for society. You're creating entertainment. Those people aren't interested in creating entertainment. They're interested in creating division, drama, ruining other people. That's what they bring to the table. And I think deep inside, this is why people are now against them. Most people probably can't articulate what I just said in the video, but at a deep emotional level, most people feel it. That they have noticed after a decade of seeing woke activists doing bad things to good people, that maybe this ideology isn't as peachy as it's advertised. Maybe the PR for this ideology is a little bit rotten. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.